Good morning or good afternoon, ladies, whenever it is that you're watching this. I'm Jenie Oliver, and I'm speaking to you from Glencairn, Simonstown. So things are a little bit different. The way I'm presenting this is not quite what I might have done, but this is the way that the Lord has led me to do this particular session. So as I was praying about what it is that God would like to share, or would like me to share with you, He laid on my heart and mind the theme of widows. I suppose it's something that is close to me right now, being that I am a widow, but it was more than that, because as I meditated upon the various widows in the Bible, and I'm going to share a bit about that with you now, I realized that even though some of you and many of you are probably not widows, we can all have a kind of a widow spirit. I don't quite know how to put it, but we can all have times when we feel that we've been isolated, perhaps particularly now, where we've been put aside, where we've lost our usefulness, perhaps for the kingdom or even to our families, where perhaps we feel that we are not understood. And so all of these things, I think all of us women feel and experience at different times, even sometimes in the happiest of marriages. So this is a message for us all. But physically, those in the station of widowhood, I believe God has a very special eye on and hand over. As we see from the word, He says He is our defender, He is our provider. And in fact, there are some famous widows in the Bible whose stories have encouraged us down through the ages and spoken to millions and billions of people. And I just want to focus on a few of them, and then I want to share with you testimony from my own life and my own experience thus far. There is so much I could say. So I've just chosen to speak about three, and very briefly, just focusing on certain points. Firstly, we have Ruth, very famous widow, and she left her land to go with her mother-in-law against all odds because of loyalty and love. There was famine in the land at the time, and culturally, a woman on her own was absolutely destitute because she was not allowed to work. Her sole function was really to bear children and, keep the family name going. So anyway, she decided to go with her mother-in-law. Her loyalty paid off so much so that she's actually in the genealogy of Jesus. And we know her story so well. And Boaz married her. So God turned that whole situation around. Her trust was rewarded, her faith was rewarded, and we have that beautiful account in the book of Ruth. Then we have two other widows. Both Elijah and Elisha encountered widows. Elijah had just been told by the Lord, he'd been sitting at the brook Cherith, and the Lord had said, go to Zarephath, I think it's how you say it, and there will be a widow who will feed you. Well, there was, interestingly enough, famine in that land too. And when Elijah encountered the widow, she said, I'm going to make this last bit of flour into cake, and then my son and I are going to die. What does Elijah say? Make some for me first. What does the widow do? She is obedient, she is faithful, and she really, in New Testament terms, seeks first God's kingdom. Then we see that all else is added to her because that supply did not run out, and she got through that famine period without a problem, without needing food. Then we come to Elisha, and he encounters a widow, and she is up to her neck in debt, and they want to take the son as payment for this debt, and she's desperate. And the instruction is, get vessels from your neighbors, pour the oil into them, and as many vessels as she had, she filled. All three of those women came out of sort of famine situations, situations where the outlook was bleak, where there was no hope. All three of them were obedient, faithful, and loyal. The last widow who brought those empty vessels, every vessel was filled. If she brought more would have been filled. And so in looking at this, ladies, I think for us the message is, it doesn't matter what our station is, what our circumstances are. It matters to God, but it doesn't matter to the great plan, because the great plan is come to Him empty. And as empty as we are, we can be full of His Spirit. And this is what Jesus does. When we cast ourselves on Him with no reservation, He really, really does come through. I just want to share a bit about my experience. And once I'm going to be singing a song for us that hopefully we can make our prayer. Because I'm sure there are many of you today who are in difficult situations and who do have difficulties in terms of feeling perhaps that you've passed your sell-by date. I just want to assure you that as long as you are here and breathing, God has purpose for you and He has purpose for your life. And we just need to seek Him and come to Him empty so that we can be full of Him, full of hope, full of encouragement, full of peace, joy, and His amazing grace and love. Anyhow, as I said, I want to share with you a bit of my story. As you probably know by now, my husband passed away in December, end of December. And literally the next morning, I said, Jesus, I need you. My defender, my covering has gone. There's a vacuum. I need you to fill that space. Please, Lord, just help me with everything. I could talk to you for hours on end about the grace and the providence of Jesus toward me. But I'm going to just give you a few little examples of how He came through in the most amazing ways. Well, firstly, there was a funeral or memorial to organize. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have extra funds, as Derek and I had lived by faith for the last few years, so we didn't have money stashed away anywhere. In fact, it was kind of the opposite. But the Lord said to me, just leave this with me. I'll take care of it. So I did. I prayed about it. I didn't know whether it was meant to be a little family get-together only, or if I was meant to open it up so that people could hear the testimony and it could be an opportunity to share, especially with non-believers. My daughter had said to me, Mama, it would be great if we could have something outside, because Derek loved the outdoors. We used to walk a lot together. And I said, well, I don't know if I can organize that. I mean, it takes money. All these things take money. Anyhow, as I said, I prayed about it. And the same morning, I got a call from a church where we had ministered a week before Derek passed away. Local to us, just over the mountain, a little way away, in a place called Howe Bay, called the Reformed Church. Some of you might know the grounds. It's on the corner of Valley and Main Road. Beautiful grounds, trees, a lake with swans, and just a most beautiful, tranquil setting. Anyway, they called me up and said, Jenie, if you'd like to use our premises, we'd love for you to do so. And we'll help with the catering. Well, I was like, that's a relief, because I don't know how many people are coming. And it turned out that there were well over 100 people that ended up attending. I still wasn't sure about what help exactly meant. Was it tea and coffee, or was there more involved? And it came to light at a meeting we had prior to that event that they were going to do everything. They said, you just say what you want. Well, I was bowled over. I said, well, just maybe a few little sweet and savory snacks, that's fine. They put the flowers in the church, and at that memorial, my brother-in-law Barry used it as an opportunity, an evangelical opportunity, and he spoke about the prodigal son. Now, those who maybe had been tuned in would have realized that God gave us a beautiful physical illustration of his grace and opulence because a feast followed that memorial outside. They had set up braais. We had hot food. We had salads. We had cakes. We had pastries. We had fruit. We had everything you could think of. People commented on the immense feast that we'd had, and there were leftovers for people to take home. It was just, to me, the absolute gift of God's grace in that moment, and it showed how kind and how generous he is toward us. After that, God proceeded to tell me what I was to do. I wasn't sure if I was to carry on with ministry even. And it became clear that I must carry on, not in the same way, can never be the same, but using the abilities he has perhaps given me in a new way. Well, after that, he clearly said to me, you and Jess go away for a week, and then, my girl, you get back in the saddle and you start again. So my first appointment was for February the 9th. And Jess and I wanted to go to a very special place to us called Placid Waters. We'd been there often as a family, but it was generally impossible to get in there. It was always booked up a year in advance. But we felt that was where we needed to be, we'd like to be. So I prayed and I said, Lord, if at all possible, could you please allow us to be there? I phoned up. They had one apartment exactly in that week. I just knew God's hand, God's fingerprints are all over this. And the last little thing that happened, which was incredibly wonderful, I'd had a twin tub washing machine on Facebook Marketplace to try and get a bit of extra money in. But I knew that chances were I might not sell it for a long time, if at all. And there were other washing machines on there, front loaders and what have you, that were going for the same price. So I didn't have too much hope. Well, as usual, God does things in a way that you just know it's him. Nothing happened until the night before Jess and I were due to go away. I get a call from a couple, and they are dead keen on the machine. They arrived here at 9:30 at night, cash in hand. And I knew, as I saw that money, that's our spending money. God is going to treat us. This is not a time for famine. This is a time for feasting. Although we're sad, it was like my Heavenly Father was just giving us gifts to get us through the time, to sweeten the sorrow. And so, ladies, as I have journeyed on, he has been there at every turn, directing my steps, comforting me on the days when I feel down and sad and low. He truly steps in when we give him the space to do so. So I do hope and pray that you are encouraged to cast your all on Jesus and to trust him, no matter what's happening in your life, to trust him, because he will take you through and get you safely to the destination he has in mind for you. I have an adaptation of a song which I arranged called I Surrender All. So this morning or afternoon, whenever you're watching this, if you would like to make this your prayer and start afresh with Jesus, or start with him if you've never ever met him, then please feel free to do so. Bless you all.
All to Jesus I surrender, all to him I freely give. I will ever love and trust him, in his presence daily live. All to Jesus I surrender, humbly I all.